video today, I'm going to compare the 300 movies to the Sin City movies. Both of these sets of movies are based on a comic book or graphic novel, but they're definitely different from each other. With 300, these are stylized movies that are fictionalized retellings of true events. They're set in this point in history that is actually real, the time of Greece, but the movies are not trying to be historically accurate or tell things exactly the way they actually occurred. Also, 300 is really only loosely based on a comic book series. In the case of Sin City, you have a neo-noir crime anthology where it's telling all these different stories. The movie's set in black and white. It's not actually sci-fi, fantasy, or horror. 300 is pretty grounded. There's not really much supernatural stuff happening. Supernatural stuff is only really sprinkled in there just a little bit. For the most part, it's a fairly brutal war movie. Now, in each of these cases, I only have seen the first film. I haven't seen the second one. First of all, when you look at highest Rotten Tomatoes score for each franchise, in the case of Sin City, the highest score is a 76% for the first movie. With 300, highest score is 61% for the first film. Sin City wins this round. And then when you look at lowest score, 300 Rise of an Empire only has a 45%. Sin City 2 only has a 43%. So 300 wins this round by only 2%. Then when you look at average score, Sin City has an average of 59, 300 has an average of 53, so Sin City wins this round. Then when we look at gap between lowest and highest score, in the case of 300, you have a gap of 16 between 45 and 61. In the case of Sin City, you have a gap of 33 between 76 and 43. The gap is lower for 300, so 300 wins this round. So far, 300 has won one of the rounds, but Sin City has won. 300 has actually won two of the rounds, whereas Sin City has won two of them. So we're tied heading into the final round. So we're going to look at my personal opinion. Which franchise do I prefer? Well, in each of these cases, I watched 300 Sin City because I was thinking I want to branch out, watch different stuff based on comic book or graphic novel. I don't want to just stick to the most obvious mainstream stuff. In this case, deciding which franchise is better comes down to me deciding what do I prefer, a stylized brutal war film like 300 that's a fictionalized retelling of real life events, or neo-noir crime anthology like Sin City. Well, at the end of the day, I would say that 300 is more my thing. It's stuff that I fundamentally like more than Sin City. I watched that first Sin City movie and thought, this is very well done. It's a great movie. It's not the type of thing I would normally watch or be into, but it's very well done. In the case of 300, I'm like, okay, this is a movie with a lot of action in it. It's more my thing. It's certainly a movie that's not going to be for everyone. Even if you like 300, you have to see why it's not going to be for everyone. It's very much like spicy food, where some people love spicy food, they want to eat a lot of it. Other people don't want to eat any spicy food at all. 300 really shows who Zack Snyder is as a director, that he is very much a visual director. He has an eye for the visuals. He likes big, epic shots. I think it does really fit with 300. I think this is a movie that really highlights all of Snyder's strengths, and all his weaknesses are minimized in this case because the plot is pretty straightforward, simple. It's not very complicated. There's not a lot going on. The case of the first film is just about this army trying to get to this place, trying to kill all these enemies. There's a lot of slow motion, which actually makes sense in this specific context where Snyder's trying to really show all these big hero shots. 300 is a movie that very much commits to an extreme version of masculinity. Makes sense given that the time the movie is set in is one where there was a lot of brutality toward males. It was a time where men were expected to be men. It was harsh. So it makes sense that 300 would have this extreme version of masculinity. So it's a movie that doesn't hold back on the violence. It absolutely has bite to it. It has teeth. There's a lot of people that die. So I think it's well done. I think that Zack Snyder did what he was trying to do. I like that he didn't shy away from the extreme nature of this movie. He just fully committed to it. So I think it works. When it comes down to which movie am I more likely to rewatch? Well, it's pretty easy for me. I'm more likely to rewatch 300 than Sin City because 300 lines up more with my personal taste. I'm not as much into crime movies in general. That'll be it for this video.